Okay, let's say you're bored one day and you really want to work out some sides of triangles, or maybe the angles inside them, but you only get given one angle and one side. So instead, what you want to use here is you're going to be using something called trigonometry, which involves sine theta, cos theta, and tan theta. But of course, you need to know which one you need to use. Well, we use something called SO, Ka, Toa, where this first thing means that sine theta equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse. You have cos theta for this bit is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, and you have tan theta, which is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent. So the question is, how do you know which one's the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse? Well, the opposite side is always directly opposite the angle that you're given. The hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle in the triangle, and the adjacent is just the third side left over. And there you go, you can use that. So the question is now, what if we don't have a right angled triangle, let's say like this? Well, here, it depends on what we get given. We have both something called the sine rule, which states that sine of an angle over the side equals the sine of another angle over a side, which is equal to sine of a third angle over its side. And if you want to work out a side instead, you can actually flip the entire thing over on its head and get something that looks like this. So the question is, when do you use the sine rule? Well, it's good to use the sine rule when you have a angle and its opposite side plus another side or angle. Okay, so the question is, how do you know which one's which? Well, the best thing to do is to just label whatever angle you want and just label them A, B, and C. This doesn't actually matter. What does matter is that the side that is A is always opposite the angle that is A, and the angle that is B is opposite the side that is B, and the side that is C is always opposite the angle that is C. But other than that, it doesn't matter which way around you put them. So the question is now, what if you get given 3 sides and want an angle, or 2 sides and an angle and you want a third side? Well, that means you want to use the cosine rule. Cosine rule states that a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. Now you may think that, what about if you don't want a and you want a different letter? Well, the thing about a is that it doesn't actually matter which side it is. All that matters is that you get given the angle that is opposite the side. So as long as you, whatever letter this is, it just means that you have that angle, okay? So you can just swap around what a is meant to be. You may notice that this a squared equals b squared plus c squared actually looks like Pythagoras' theorem, because if you have cos of 90, it gives you 0, which means this whole thing goes away. And the same thing with that. So the last thing is, what if you want to work out the area of a triangle that isn't a right angle? Well, then you're going to want to use half AB sine C. And the important thing about this is that A and B are just the sides that make up angle C. So as you can see from here, A is this side, B is this side, and C is the angle that's made up between them. But it can easily just be half BC sine A, for example. So these two sides that make up angle A. In short, you want 2 sides and an angle between them, and you can use the sine rule or cosine rule to find out the last ones. Hope you enjoyed this very short summary of trigonometry and everything you need to know. If you want some practice, there are some links on the screen now which will take you to about an hour's worth of exam practice for each of the sine rule, cosine rule, area, and SOHCAHTOA. Thank you.